Be it Satan, Allah, Odin, or Buddha, there are many horror movies out there that focus themselves on demonic tones that have you wishing you had prayed before you went into it. So today on Beyond the Screen, we're going to be counting down our list of the top 10 horror movies you need to pray before watching. Let's jump in. Coming in at 10, The Omen. We're starting with a strong choice here, but also an obvious one. The Omen, as we know, centers on the mysterious deaths that surround an American ambassador, who slowly comes to the realization that he could perhaps be raising the Antichrist, Damien. Now, as time passes, it is true that the impact The Omen initially had becomes less and less, but in no way can we diminish the effect Damien had on us, making him one of the most terrifying kids to ever appear on screen. The Omen is a religiously charged tale about the devil himself. The 1976 film is a subtle and creepily quiet feast for hardcore horror lovers, and has a way of lingering in your soul. From the soundtrack to the terrifying performance from 4-year-old Harvey Spencer, it is not to be missed. Just pray before you watch it, that's all I'm saying. Coming in at 9, Children of the Corn. Linda Hamilton. Need I say more? I will, but honestly I shouldn't have to. Linda Hamilton is iconic and makes every scene she's in absolutely legendary. Children of the Corn, released in 1984, follows a young couple trapped in a remote town where a dangerous religious cult of children believe everyone over the age of 18 must be killed. Those damn ageists. Not only is this a road trip horror movie, but it's also a religious horror that aptly displays what happens when you go on a road trip and stray too far off the beaten path. Soon the couple are forced to flee the group of children and their menacing leader Isaac, as they attempt to sacrifice the adults to their demonic deity. Bloody kids, can't be trusted. Coming in at 8, CANDYMAN. Now, I will say right off the bat that CANDYMAN is a film that hasn't aged as well as it should have. Released in 1992, the film follows the CANDYMAN, a murderous soul with a hook for a hand who was accidentally summoned to reality by a skeptic student who was researching the monster's myth. This horror was produced by the legendary Clive Barker, who was responsible for HELLRAISER, a film which may or may not make an appearance on our list later on. The film successfully tackles urban legends, bringing them to life, leading us down a path of pure terror, blood, and the Candyman. Not only that, but there is a truly grisly scene where a character gets hacked up in a public rundown restaurant, and honestly, it stayed with me for life. If you like gore and hooks, you will love Candyman. Coming in at 7, It Follows. It Follows is perhaps my favourite horror film from recent years, because it strays away from the tropes we're so used to and instead feels like an homage to the horror of the 70s and 80s. Not only that, but it's just downright fun. Released in 2014, It Follows is about a young woman who is followed by an unknown force after a sexual encounter. That's right, the villain of this horror is passed from person to person via sexual intercourse. It's genius. It's also incredibly refreshing, and instead of incessant jump scares, relies on a slow build and the eeriness that comes with being followed by an unknown force. It's subtle but still terrifying. It Follows will definitely catch you by surprise, making it one of the most terrifying and fun horror movies we have been blessed with in a long time. Check it out. In at 6, Poltergeist. A handful of you won't know the true horrors that lie within Poltergeist, or understand how terrifying a TV screen filled with static truly is. Don't worry, feel blessed, it's for the better you don't understand these horrors. Released in 1982, the film follows a family who experience heavy ghost activity in their home after their young daughter gets sucked into their TV by an aggressive poltergeist. The film showcases horrors that haven't aged as well as they should, but are still terrifying nonetheless. From the static-filled TV to angry clown dolls strangling a child to a demonic tree. They rely on scares that don't land with horror lovers now, but that doesn't diminish the power Poltergeist holds over hardcore horror lovers. It's a classic. Watch it. In at 5, Hereditary. Hereditary is one of the most recent films on our list, and perhaps one of the scariest horror movies I've seen in a very, very long time. Released in 2018, this film follows a family grieving the loss of their matriarch, but as they do, they become haunted by tragic and disturbing events. Hereditary is a rare horror that keeps you guessing from start to finish, making audiences scream, "What the is happening?" The film is led by the stellar Toni Collette, who we watch gradually descend into madness after the death of her mother. You think you know what the film is: a family coping with grief, the after effects of long psychological trauma. It's great until about halfway through when you realise the movie is something entirely different than what you thought it was. Watch it. You'll not be disappointed, just straight up disturbed. Coming in at 4, The Hallow. No one quite does horror like the Brits, and yes, I know I'm biased, but it's true. All the Brits have to do is show us a grey sky with rain clouds and it has us quaking in fear. However, no film is quite as terrifying as 2016's The Hallow, written and directed by Corin Hardy, the man who's also responsible for The Nun. So you can thank him. The Hallow follows a family who moved into a remote mill house in Ireland and ultimately find themselves in a fight for survival against a demonic creature living in the woods. The movie plays out as a folklore tale, and it's truly a breath of fresh air as it strays far away from the cookie-cutter creature features we're so used to seeing. Not only that, but the film relies on practical effects as opposed to full-blown CGI, which makes The Hallow that much more terrifying by bringing creatures from Irish folklore into reality. It's a nightmare. In at 3, Hellraiser. Hellraiser is an iconic horror movie, always has been, always will be, and though it was released back in 1987, it's still just as terrifying as it was when it was first released. The film follows an unfaithful wife who encounters the zombie of her dead lover. Demonic entities known as the Cenobites quickly pursue him after he escapes from their sadomasochistic underworld. Now, this film is a favourite amongst hardcore horror lovers, and of course, goths, due to its heavy reliance on evil, pain, and metal body adornments. Yep, that's right, the main focus of this film was on the antagonist Pinhead, aptly named that because he has pins stuck in his face and head, making him absolutely terrifying to even look at. If you enjoy sadomasochism, gore, and gothic torture, you'll be a big fan of Hellraiser. Check it out. Coming in at 2, The Wailing. It is seemingly impossible for South Korean horror cinema to flop, ever, and placed right at the top of their superior film pile is 2016's The Wailing, written and directed by Na Hong-jin. The film follows a small village that is plagued by a mysterious sickness not long after the arrival of a stranger. A policeman is ultimately drawn into the incident and is forced to uncover the mystery in order to save his daughter. The film is a masterclass in the occult and explores the weird world of Korean folklore, which is just downright terrifying. Now, it's a lengthy film and at times a slow burn, but it successfully weaves through the spiritualism, ritualistic sacrifice, and the balance between good and evil, angels and demons. The Wailing, watch it to find out which comes out on top. I really don't want to ruin any part of The Wailing for you because it truly is that good. And lastly, coming in at number 1, The Witch. The Witch is possibly the most unnervingly brilliant horror film I've ever seen. And now I know a lot of you may not agree with me, and I do understand the criticism this film receives, but unfortunately, you're wrong. You're just plain wrong. To begin, The Witch is impossibly bleak and plays out like you're watching something that's forbidden, as though the scenes are taking place outside and you're watching from the upstairs window. The film begins as a New England family get banished from their society and are forced to build a new life on the outskirts of the woods. We catch a quick glimpse of the newly formed North America before we're ultimately deserted and left alone in the dark woods with a menacing witch that is tormenting the family. Oh yeah, and also the devil. The Witch is one of the scariest films of all time, trust me on that. If you haven't already, watch it. You'll not be disappointed. Well, there we have it. Do you guys agree with our list? Were there any horror movies that we missed? Leave us all your thoughts and feelings in the comments down below and perhaps we can do a part 2. If you haven't already, be sure to give this video a big thumbs up, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you never miss another Beyond the Screen vid. Until next time, see you later.